Welcoming you to a life of awareness, the Presence Project is excited for you to join us for today's podcast with your host, Paul Kersner.
Hello and welcome to episode 90 of Are You Being Present? My name is Paul. I want to welcome you to the present moment. I want to welcome you to the here and now. And I want to thank you wholeheartedly, sincerely, and deeply for joining me in this precious present moment. The title and topic for today's podcast is I'm Okay, a Powerful Presence Affirmation. I believe that to be able to establish and maintain a state of presence, it's important to have a toolbox full of different methodologies that you could use at any point during the day. I prefer to start my day with my presence practice, and that's what I advise the people I work with. But really, you can use your presence tools anytime. The reason why I specifically talk about starting your day with presence is so that you can create that anchor point, that feeling space, that peace as you start your day, so that as your day unfolds, and if you get challenged or you slip out of the moment, that you're able to pull yourself back to that anchor point. If you jump out of bed first thing and you just get going, it's difficult to work your way back to anywhere because you become what I call a rudderless ship, and you're just awash. You're at sea with no direction. You're at the mercy of the waves. You're at the mercy of your ego, your emotions, your feelings, your nervous system. And that's why I implore you to create, establish, and use a mindfulness practice, a presence practice first thing in the morning. But there's one specific affirmation that I wanted to hone in on and talk about because it's the first one that I share with the patients, the people that I work with. And it's one of the first affirmations that I used that really had a profound effect on my path, on the work that I've done with myself, by myself, and for myself. And that is, it's very simple, and you can use it at any time. And it's just saying, I'm okay. Now, I understand that there's going to be experiences that you're going to endure, and you might be enduring right now, that don't feel okay, that don't seem okay, that are not okay. And I'm not here to challenge your interpretations and perceptions of the experiences that you're having at this given moment, or really any given moment. My suggestion, my advice, my guidance is to help provide you with a different way of seeing things so that you can stay in a flow state, so that you're not in a state of resistance, so that you can identify your ego, the thoughts that are flowing through your head and how they're triggering you and making you react instead of respond. Saying I'm okay to yourself in your head, or even if you need to in the beginning, saying it out loud over and over and over again, gives you the ability to start building the gap. And the gap is what I talk about, and it's the gap between the stimuli and the reaction, between the ego and you reacting, saying something, feeling something, whatever it is. Saying I'm okay is very powerful. It's a very powerful affirmation. It's a very powerful tool. And I remember years and years ago when I started using this affirmation that I had to use it all day long because the ego that I was working with was maniacal. It was ceaseless. So the streams of thought that I was contending with were never ending. The mental movies that were showing up kept on going. And it took an affirmation specifically like I'm okay to break that stream of thought, to break the stream of consciousness, to separate me from my ego, from that loud voice in my head. So that's the powerful affirmation that really got me going and showed me that there is a tool, or there are tools that could provide me with relief in the present moment, that will help shift me out of the past or the future, that will help shift the way that I'm seeing a certain experience, a certain person, place, or thing. Now again, I'm not challenging whatever you're enduring, but a tool and an affirmation like I'm okay will help smooth out the edges of whatever you are experiencing. It'll snap you out of the loop, the thought loop that your ego loves to spin you into. And your ego loves to take you out of the moment by making you think about things that have nothing to do with the moment. That's the way the ego works. It makes you prepare for all these terrible outcomes that never happen. It makes you ruminate about a past that is not accurate. And that's why doing your ego work is so quintessential, but having a tool like an affirmation such as "I'm okay" is so powerful because it's so simple and it can be used at any time. In the beginning, I do suggest saying it out loud over and over and over again, because what we're doing is that we're restructuring your neural pathways. We're interrupting the ego's ability to control you and manipulate you. And you might have to say it 1,000,000 times a day until you actually believe it. That's fine. You don't have to necessarily feel and believe that you are okay to use an affirmation like "I'm okay," because in reality, and most times, you are okay. But it's your ego, it's your thoughts, it's your feelings and your nervous system that's making you feel not okay. All those things are making you feel unsafe, that there's a lack of safety and security, and that you're headed to a disaster. It's not true. And the way that we can unravel and untwine these thought processes and these feeling states that are not accurate is by using presence affirmations such as "I'm okay" to help shift you back to the present moment, to help remind you. And this affirmation is a reminder that you are okay and you're going to be okay because you've made it this far. Why wouldn't you make it further? Why would it end right here? But if you listen to your ego wants you to believe that catastrophe is ahead, that there's terrible things that are going to happen, and that things that are happening to you, not for you. So it's a shift of perception. But to shift your perception, you can use a tool like "I'm okay" that helps ground you into the moment. Again, in the beginning, you're going to have to use this over and over and over again. It's a practice because this is a tool, and it's one tool in your toolbox. It's very helpful to have a variety of different tools to use all throughout your day, because there's going to be different moments that you're going to be experiencing different things, different challenges, and challenges usually accumulate. But "I'm okay" is such an easy, simple tool to use at any given moment to help break the loop, the thought loop that triggers you right out of the moment. And I can't think of a better gift for me to give you. It's a gift that I've given to many patients. And I watch when I talk about this specific affirmation, I see the look in their eyes. Their eyes light up. And then they turn to me and they say, "You're right, I am okay." And then they breathe deep, a sigh of relief. I've seen this so many times, and every time I see it, I'm so touched because I get to bear witness to someone who's finally felt like they're okay. And that's the beauty of the work, is reminding ourselves that we are okay, even though there are uncertain times ahead, even though we've been through tough times, even though we've been traumatized. In this present second, in this present moment, we are okay. So using a tool, an affirmation like "I am okay" or "I'm okay" can shift everything at a moment's notice. But you have to use your tools. You have to be the observer of your mind, of the ego, of that loud voice in your head. And once you see what it's doing, what it's telling you, how it's tricking you, how it's pulling you out of the moment, then you open up your toolbox and you use a tool like "I'm okay" over and over again until you get the relief that you seek, until you can breathe that sigh of relief, until you can see things with clarity. That's where we're headed. That's presence. Seeing things for how they are, not for the way that your ego, your mind wants you to believe they are. And it takes a concerted effort. Being present is a process. It is It is a journey. It is not a destination. I can't impress that upon you enough. And I really wanted to hand over a tool that's been so effective for me personally and clinically. I know the relief that I've gained and I continue to gain by using an affirmation like I'm okay. I know how it feels. I know what it feels like to suffer at the hands of an ego. I know what anxiety, stress, and depression feels like. And I know the relief that I get when I'm able to use my tools and watch all those feelings dissipate. And because the whole basis around presence is the reminder that nothing lasts. And you can get into that flow state and gain some momentum by using your presence tools, by establishing a strong presence practice, by talking with yourself, by changing the relationship with the voice in your head, with your ego, instead of being the victim of the ego, being the observer of the ego. So I do hope that you find this specific tool helpful, but more so I hope that you use it all throughout your day and your life. And that it's one tool out of many tools that you can use at any given moment. Once you catch yourself being so far from the moment, once you catch yourself lost in thought, so far away. And we're all going through that. We're all contending with our egos and other people's egos and uncertainty. There's a lot of unknowing and unknowingness. And that's okay. But what happens is that the ego uses that against us to create potential negative outcomes. And we want to interrupt that thought stream, that stream of consciousness, by using a tool that has the ability to snap you out of it. So just a reminder, everything is okay. You are okay. And you're going to be okay. That is the truth of the truth. And I know it might not feel like that all the time. And I know it might not feel like that at this moment. But if you do your work and you use your affirmations and your tools and you keep telling yourself, I'm okay, eventually you'll snap out of it and you'll believe that you really are okay and that everything is okay. And with that, as always, I wish you nothing but peace.
Thank you for listening to the Are You Being Present podcast, brought to you by the Presence Projects. Remember, you have a choice. Choose to be present.